Welcome, everybody, to Slack on Flicks, the podcast. I'm your host, film critic and 16 News Now producer, Benjamin Slack. Well, we have made it. This is the final episode of 2025. And I don't know about you, but does it feel like that this year has flown by? I don't know. Maybe it's because a lot has happened to me all throughout the year. For instance, this show, I am so excited that this is going to be going on into another year. I couldn't be more thankful for the friends and coworkers that helped make this happen. Thank you. Thank you so much. And in celebration of 2026 on its way in just a couple of days, I thought it would be fun if we looked back at the top 5 best films to come out of this year. Needless to say, that list was very hard to make. I really wasn't going to do it because I struggled with this for days. But then I saw more and more YouTubers and other critics out there making their own lists. So you know what? I thought I would copy them and give you my own. But before we get to that, we have 2 new films that we are actually going to discuss today, one of which almost made the top 5 list, actually. I was this close to making it on there. And you know what's kind of strange? Is that both these films shared a very common denominator. They were both about achieving your dreams that were very uplifting, but yet they had very dark elements to them. Let's check out one of those films right now.
Backhand, backhand, forehand.
How do you live?
Well, I live with the confidence if I believe in myself, the money will follow.
And what do you plan to do if this whole dream of yours doesn't work
That
out?
doesn't even enter my...
Marty Supreme follows a young man played by Timothée Chalamet as he attempts to work his way to becoming the best ping pong player there is, even if it means engaging in some illegal activity to get in there, such as bribing important figures and committing robbery. While far from the usual uplifting stories of someone working towards their dream, the message of fighting for what you want to do is still there. It strays far from the usual route and instead goes in a direction that one can easily believe happened in real life. And this is based on a true story, by the way. Now, Timothée Chalamet gives what I believe is probably the best performance of his young career so far. He accomplishes a very hard task of making the lead unlikable, yet still sympathetic by the film's end. In my opinion, Marty Supreme ends 2025 with a bang, even though it is a little bit stacked with storytelling and you definitely feel its runtime in the end. However, I'm still giving it a slacker scale B+. Now, the next film that I'm going to be talking about is just exciting by the premise alone. And you know what? I'm going to give you a sneak preview. You know what I'm talking about.
All aboard! Here we go. Sweet Caroline. Good times never seem so good.
It's good.
So good.
Gotta love that music. The great Neil Diamond with Sweet Caroline. Well, that is his music, just sung by different people. Song Sung Blue is a movie I would call similar to Tim Burton's Ed Wood and Phil Eldon Robin's Field of Dreams. It follows a married, down-on-their-luck musician couple, played by Hugh Jackman and Kate Hudson, who decide that the best way to gain a following is to start a tribute band in honor of the great Neil Diamond. It's a premise as simple as it gets, but it adds many layers throughout its runtime that capture both the struggle of finding your footing and proving that you can be who you want to be, despite the incredible odds being stacked against you. Hugh Jackman and Kate Hudson star in a film with a great cast of character actors that I can only call a joy and a wild ride. You should definitely give it a watch if you feel that you're in a rough spot, because it proves that with the power of love, your beliefs, and determination, the positives can definitely outweigh the negatives in your life. I'm giving this an almost perfect slacker scale A-. Now, I was this close to adding Song Sung Blue to the top 5 best films of all time. I was thinking about it over and over and over again throughout the weekend, but ultimately, the list that I originally came up with just couldn't be beaten. Now, again, this was incredibly hard to make. It's very hard to put your own biased opinions in there compared to what is overall really wonderful filmmaking. So, needless to say, this list is a good mix of what were my personal favorites and what I truly believe were very good, very well-made movies from a variety of different filmmakers. Number 5, we're starting with a recent release, and that is The Housemaid. It's a movie that takes a situation that anyone can find themselves in and manages to translate that into an eerily entertaining flick and manages to make its actors totally unrecognizable. Number 4, now this is a film that not many people are talking about anymore, which is kind of crazy because when it first came out just a few months ago, everybody was talking about how good it was. I'm talking about Regretting You. It's a movie that is honestly kind of similar to Song Sung Blue. It took a well-talented group of actors and put them in a story about loss and grief that made you feel okay to laugh following those elements, both because of how good the movie and the cast was, and sometimes because of the awkward writing that was within it. Number 3. Now, this is a film that I am predicting is going to win Best Picture for a musical and comedy at the Golden Globes. It's one that I've been saying ever since the nominations came out, which reminds me, check out the Golden Globes nominations episode. I'm talking about One Battle After Another. It has everything that you're looking for in a modern day action thriller, I'll call it. It has action, it has laughs, talent, and stakes that make the social commentary presented within here create one of the most suspenseful movies of the entire year. Number 2. Now, this movie had to be on the list because it was the one that I was counting down to ever since it got announced like years ago, and that is Superman. This is the second entry in James Gunn's new DC Universe franchise and the first film in said series. It was something that didn't disappoint at all, and it managed to capture everything that the Man of Steel stands for, and honestly, just get you more and more excited for what's going to come next in the series. I mean, Peacemaker Season 2 I thought was a pretty decent win, and we got Supergirl coming out next summer, which I am really looking forward to because honestly, I thought her little cameo at the end of Superman was one of the best parts. And it's just overall a fun experience for any comic book fan to enjoy. Or nostalgia fan if you just love old school superheroes. Now, before we get to number 1, I think we need to talk about the blockbuster season right now because I thought this summer was probably one of the best ones I experienced in quite some time. Yeah, there were some films out there that were better than the others. There were some that honestly were not that good at all, but they still had that small pinch of entertainment value that made them worth watching just a tad bit. So special shout outs to films like The Fantastic Four First Steps, Together, The New Naked Gun, Megan 2.0, the new I Know What You Did Last Summer. All decent enough films, and you know what? You guys have my approval. You all got passing grades on the slacker scale. But that brings us to number 1. And this is a film that I've been calling the best one of the year ever since it came out. And funny enough, it opened up the summer blockbuster season. I'm talking about F1. This is Brad Pitt's best performance since his Oscar win in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood in 2019. The cinematography is breathtaking, both on the track and off, and it mirrors the classic story of an underdog looking to defy the odds and go to distance and come up on top in the end. It takes it in a very interesting approach that I can only say you got to see the movie to understand. The fact that it is not nominated for any Golden Globes this year, I think is honestly just crazy. Just check out the movie. My uncle did, and he loved it just as well as I did. Well, guys, this is going to bring the Slack on Flicks podcast to a close in 2025. I know I'm acting like this is the last episode of the series or something, but you know what? I'm just happy that I made it to the end of 2025. Sure, I had my doubts, but I stayed positive in the end. And if anything like these couple movies that got released this past weekend, then fighting for your dreams and believing what you believe in, you can still come out on top in the end. You can defy the odds and go to distance. Thank you guys so much for watching, guys. I hope you all have a wonderful New Year's Eve party. Remember, you can read my full reviews of the films we discussed that got released this past weekend and the summer blockbuster season and everything on my top 5 favorite films of this year, all by going to WNDU.com and clicking on the entertainment tab. You can also find our previous episodes on there and on YouTube as well. I'm Benjamin Slack. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a very happy new year and welcome in 2026 with a really good bang. I will see you all next year.